Welcome back, guys and geeks, to episode 115 of Project Geekology. My name is Dakota. I'm one third of your host, and we're very excited today because we're covering a movie that I had never seen before prior to this. I was surprised how much, how big of a role Tom Cruise had in this movie. The 2017 Mummy film. It's a remake of the Brendan Fraser one, and then the one from Universal's past. But yeah, we're really excited to talk about The Mummy, and kind of sad that this is the last that it'll ever be of the dark universe. Guys, what did you think of it?
Wait,
Did I mess up, guys? Did I do something
I
wrong?
watched the whole franchise, so I'm going to be very upset if that's what I was supposed to watch.
Dakota,
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm looking at your face.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm looking at your face to read you because I'm like, yeah, this man is just messing around right now.
I didn't know what we were going to do. I was like, what are we going to do now, guys?
I am joined, as always, with...
Imhotep. Anthony.
Yeah, we're covering the original Brendan Fraser movie from, I think, 2000...
No, 99.
2000?
99.
Was it 99?
Yeah, it was
okay,
99,
good year.
yeah. Yeah, so just before the millennium. But yes, you hear it here. We are covering the not original Mummy, but the Brendan Fraser Mummy in '99.
The one in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle.
The one that most people attribute.
Right. The one that people have the most fun with. But yes, joining us as always now is
Rich, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys and dig deep and uncover some truths about the Mummy.
Yes. There's a lot of truths to be uncovered. There's a lot of falsehoods when it comes to the real world timeline. I'm so excited to dive into that because I don't know. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on this podcast, but when I was a kid, my dream job was to be an Egyptologist. So this movie was, my favorite thing as a kid. And growing up and, having done research on Egypt, I realized this has nothing to do with Egypt at all. Or barely any. It is, I should say the setting is very much Egypt. But it takes a lot of liberties. And it's harder to enjoy it a little bit, but it's still such a fun movie. I have to just kind of roll my eyes and move on. But yeah, we're excited to talk about The Mummy from 1999. Not the 2017 Mummy, which I still haven't seen actually. I haven't watched that one.
I had seen it. I saw it around the time that it had come out, so it's been a while.
Wow, you must feel so good about yourself.
I do.
Haven't seen that movie.
I do. I'm in company with Rich because Rich and I, we're caught up on this, MonsterVerse Mummy. Okay.
Right, yeah, the Dark Universe for sure.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is the Dark MonsterVerse is Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm caught up on MonsterVerse, that's for sure. Anyway, guys, before we get into the discussion of The Mummy from 1999, starring Brendan Fraser, what have you been up to this past week? Anthony, you got some big news.
Yeah, this week I started my job, the remote job. The IT job. It's been nothing but really training. So I'm trying to soak up as much as I can. I know that a lot of this stuff I'm probably not going to remember right off the top of my head. It's gonna take time for me to kind of work it and I guess build my way up to that or build my way up to a better level of proficiency. But it's been cool. I definitely do feel even though I'm learning a lot and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone because I've worked in a lot of customer facing jobs, so or just general public facing jobs. So being in a job that's at home and a little bit more on the back end, it's definitely different for me. But I do feel a lot more at peace because of I'm not dealing with a lot of stuff grabbing my attention all day, and it's so odd when I go to clock out for lunch I'm at home.
That is pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
are you finding it a challenging job at this point or?
Yeah. There are challenges to it. There's things that I have to kind of dig into to files and use the command prompts for different things, which I've used the command prompt before for stuff on my computer, but like this is command prompt stuff to like mess around with stuff with like programs and different things, programs that I don't know the back end of, like I know the back end of some of the stuff that I've messed with. Like I've messed with files and like with video games and stuff to like mod it and whatnot, but like this is trying to fix and troubleshoot issues in programs that I don't know the back end of. But I know that I'll learn it as time goes by, and it's definitely, yeah, it's going to be an interesting endeavor, and I do believe that there's a lot that I can learn from this. And I know that like once I feel proficient, that I'll definitely move on to either a higher position or to maybe a different position. So
Nice, man.
it is, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, man. Like that's like really my biggest thing that I have going on. But yeah, man. And just watching this movie for the first time in like maybe 5 years.
I'm sure you watched it plenty, back in the day when when I was a kid, I watched it all the time. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I liked it a lot. But yeah, how about you, Rich? We'll go with you next.
Let's see. I think I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, but I was working on this weird lesson plan with the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode.
you did mention it.
So I'm still kind of getting the germs out. I tested it on a couple kids and realized that I might also have to update what my memes are. They're like, yeah, no, that's a meme I know from like my dad. Like my dad has that one. I'm just like, okay, great. So I might need to fix some of
that's
these.
the thing with memes, is that the lifespan of memes is shorter and shorter these days.
But I think discovered. Well, I was talking about how I discovered this a couple of years ago, but some of my students had been talking about. They had been saying, oh, he woke up and chose violence, and I remember immediately going like, did you just quote Cersei Lannister? And they're like, who the hell is Cersei Lannister? I'm like, she's the woman who said like woke up and chose violence. Like that's like from when she, bombs Baylor's sept or whatever in King's Landing, and the kids were just staring at me like, we don't watch Game of Thrones, bro. And that's when I started to realize, which was really sad, but it's in that moment that I realized that they don't know the original source material, right? It's getting almost more and more like the Next Generation episode, because here now they're ascribing all this stuff to these short clips of something that they don't actually know the larger context of. So that's real nerd stuff level teacher stuff. I'm trying to do stuff,
but that kind of works, in a meta way with the lesson plan that you have, because the episode that you're trying to showcase, I forget the name of the episode. Darmok. It basically is a alien race that communicates through references to past works in their culture. So it kind of I'm sure there's plenty of references that you and I use that we don't realize, oh, that was started by Shakespeare or something like that. So yeah, I it's kind of on par with what your kids are or what you're experiencing with your students, where they are referencing things that they don't even know. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, woke up and chose violence has been co-opted by the internet, and it's just a colloquialism at this point.
Yeah, I was very surprised. That's kind of like the education side, the work adult side. The other side of me left work early last Thursday.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
Got someone to cover my class the last 10 minutes because I looked at the schedule and the New York Metropolitans were starting the season at 3:10 p.m. My work day ends at 3:05. I knew I had to make something happen. So I got my friend to come in at 2:45. I got in my car and I raced home. All right. I pull into the driveway. I jump out of my car. I get on the couch at 3:09. I have an IPA in my hand and I can't find the game. and I'm distraught, and I'm looking all over the place, and I finally discover that the game starts at 4:10. There was no reason for me to leave work early, no reason for me to speed, no reason for me to run, no reason to have HR message me and say, how is it that you got home at 3:07 when the workday ends at 3:05? Because I had the misfortune that the HR director happened to be driving down the street where I live, near I live, and happened to notice my very noticeable Volkswagen Bug making a left right towards my house.
That was smooth. That was really smooth.
In like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off moment, I somehow got caught, but narrowly avoided real trouble. So that's that. And then this week's the big one, guys. This one's the big one, the home opener. All right, we're gonna be freezing our butts off in New York. Probably gonna be pouring rain all day long.
Oh, you guys haven't played at home yet?
Nope. So we're our first 3 games for the season. Where kind of like Cal-El, I now have the sun shining on me again. I will be attending baseball games live.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. I'm happy for you. New York. I haven't been following Mets teams, but the Yankees have been doing pretty good.
Yeah, about that. Wow. They scored more runs than any other team has in the first 3 games. 9 home runs in 1 game. What a great record. Oh yeah. Listen, here's the thing. Listen, listeners, if you guys are listening to this, and I know you guys don't like just knowing what's going to happen. You like a roller coaster, all right? You want a roller coaster of emotion. You want to feel like garbage, but then feel great, but then feel like garbage in the span of 12 minutes. Yeah. Sign up to be a New York Metropolitan fan.
Okay, all right, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But other than watching baseball, your favorite team over there for now, what have you been up to, Dakota?
Well, that's the thing. I haven't been watching baseball. I that Saturday that they had that supposedly the best game that the Yankees have ever played, where they got more runs than they've ever gotten in a single game. They got more homers than I think any MLB team has ever gotten in a single game. And a whole bunch of other records are broken. I was trying my hardest to figure out where this game was streaming. I was downloading apps left and right. I downloaded the MLB app because we looked at the MLB app and they said on screen that this game was playing. So I was just like, all right, let's just do the free trial, and then they'll charge us if we want to keep it. And it was like $150. It was a lot of money. And we get the app and it's just like, due to streaming rights, we don't have app access to this game. So
blackout restrictions.
Yes, it was so annoying, dude. I was super pissed. Anyway, I missed that entire game. I canceled that membership.
Good.
And they charged me $162 anyway.
What?
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. It was an April Fool's joke. I got it yesterday.
But wait, that just might mean that that it's like PlayStation. So if I upped my PlayStation subscription to the highest tier to get demos for 1 year, and then of course because they remind you 1 month before, they're like, hey, in 30 days we're going to charge you. I'm sure you're going to remember that. So I forgot to change my tier and it bumped me again. So when I canceled it, it doesn't cancel it. You still have it. They're like, no, you paid for the year, buddy. Now it's canceled for the next time. But
maybe I clicked into one of those random things where I had to read the fine print. But anyway, I disputed the charge with Apple, so I'll probably get that back. I hope I get that back. That's a lot of money for an app that doesn't work.
Yeah, that is a lot of money. Yeah, I've had stuff like that, and I hate it when you go to get rid of a subscription, and they're like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" You have to hit it 10 times before they actually cancel it.
I know.
And I've had that before, but I've had that happen to me before, where I've canceled a subscription. I remember canceling it, and I still got charged. I was like, "Oh no, heck no! Y'all gonna give me my thing back?" Because I definitely, and I had an email with the confirmation for it.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre, and you can actually I have a record of my purchase history. It says that free trial, and then it's just $150 plus tax. I was really pissed. Anyway, other than missing the best Yankee game in history, me and my wife finished watching The Crown. We've been slowly going through that, which has been really kind of cool, honestly. Just getting a historical series that takes place over the course of, I think it's like 40 or 50 years between, when Queen Elizabeth went, got on the throne to, not to her death. It goes up until like the early 2000s. But it's a really incredible show. Fantastic. Every single episode that I watched was fantastic. And it was a good ending. So that was pretty cool. And then I decided I wanted to watch Succession. Wait, no, not Succession. Why do I always get these two? Severance. I've already seen Succession. Severance. I wanted to watch Severance, the Apple TV series, and I only watched the first episode, but I can tell it's like gonna like blow me away. So I'm really excited about that, and it's a show that everyone's talking about right now. I think the second season just finished, so I'm eager to continue that. What else have I been up to? Oh, I started my timeline notes on season 2 of The Legend of Korra. I'm making my way through that slowly. One thing that I noticed, which is actually like really, really cool world building, is in the first season, they spend the entire time in Republic City, right? And when Korra gets there, all the trees are like autumn colors, but a bunch of like oranges and reds on the trees and all that. And slowly, as the season goes on, it goes into winter. So like snow is pretty abundant in the last couple episodes of the first season. Then the second season starts. It's 2 months later. I'm not going to spoil this for you, Rich. It's 6 months later. So 6 months after winter starts would be the beginning of summer, right? Mm-hmm. So in Republic City, that matches up. It has like, like the green plains, lots of like green on the trees, obviously no snow or anything like that. So I thought that was really cool. But then they go to the South Pole, and then they, there's someone claims that it's the winter solstice tomorrow. And I was briefly like, wait. This messes up my entire like timeline for this show. Like what is going on? Like I was having a mini meltdown as I was trying to like rationalize it. And then I realized that in the world building, they incorporated hemispherical seasonality. So just like right now, so like if it's summer in the North Hemisphere, it's winter down in Australia. So they did that in this series because Republic City is like very north on the map, whereas South Pole is obviously the South Pole, So where it would be the height of summer in Republic City, it is the height of winter in the South Pole. So that blew my mind that they incorporated, a real world like time mechanic, like hemispherical seasonality. So thought that was pretty interesting.
It's cool. We had like an exchange student from Argentina who came, and it was wild to think that, he said he left the summer of January and February. And I said, you left the summer of January and February to come to winter in New York in January and February? Like, that's quite a decision, sir.
Yeah, that is a decision. But other than that, I didn't really get. I mean, it sounds like I did a whole lot, but I've mostly been complaining in my time. But you guys done anything else before we jump into El Mumi?
Oh, I did. I have been watching The Righteous Gemstones, which is not family friendly and really offensive, but kind of hilarious. And my wife and I are very enjoying it.
Yeah, I've heard that that's really funny. So okay.
It's Danny McBride, and he wrote it, so it's very Danny. If you've seen any Danny McBride led, production, it's basically what you think it is. It's just a family of pastors in the ilk of large arena televised events, and how they're just dastardly terrible people. And it's Walter Goggins is in it. John Goodman's in it. Danny McBride, of course. So it's actually got a pretty good cast. I mean, to see John Goodman in this is pretty wild, and Walter Goggins he's amazing in anything he does.
Yeah, I love him. He played the He's in the most recent season of White Lotus, which is still going on. I think there's one more episode of that. And he recently was in Amazon Prime's Fallout series, which he played the ghoul, and he did a fantastic job with that. He was my favorite character.
Excellent. That's a great show.
Guys, should we jump into The Mummy?
Yes, let's hop into The Mummy.
Let's hop in. Really quickly, one thing that I thought was really a well-written line is when they first open up the sarcophagus that holds the slowly decaying Imhotep. Brendan Fraser goes, "Is he supposed to be so juicy?" And I thought, that's perfect.
I almost died. I almost died and sent you guys the clip. I just couldn't. Just leave a 5-star juicy sarcophagus review.
So
because he clearly looked like a Slim Jim.
Yeah, just like Imhotep, who is like being dried out very slowly. We need you to give us a juicy 5-star review on our podcast. We're really, we thrive on those, juicy 5-star reviews, guys. So,
just not as decayed.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into The Mummy, guys. Obviously, we've all seen it before, right?
No.
Yes.
Was this a first for you, Rich?
I have only seen any of the movies by pure accident, and just as a I'm a sucker for putting on, I don't know what it is. It's my age showing. I kind of like movies on broadcast TV.
Okay. Yeah, that's...
I like...
Sometimes it just feels like a TV show like that. Yeah, no, I get it.
I like the built-in bathroom breaks where I don't feel like I'm stopping everything. I kind of like the thrill of running to the bathroom and getting a sandwich and seeing if I can make it back in 2 minutes. So I've always done that, but if I was grading, I think any time that it would have been on TV, I would have had it on the background, So I remember seeing, for example, Imhotep's face, when his cheek is not completely together and he's kissing Evelyn, right? That I can distinctly remember that, right? And I also know, I really probably know about this franchise because of The Rock, all right? If I have to be honest, like The Rock brought my attention to it, so I saw some of Scorpion King, but since I hadn't seen the whole thing, the whole franchise, I didn't really understand what I was supposed to care. So this is the first time that I ever sat down and said, I'm going to watch one of these movies from the beginning to the end, and then I watched the whole franchise.
You watched the whole franchise. Now, did you jump into the spin-off Scorpion King movie with Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
For the purposes of not having extreme I can't remember the word right now. Information that really wasn't
extemporaneous.
Yes, there we go. I couldn't say it. Get it out. I just I paused there because I did really watch a lot of them in a row. I mean,
yeah, you did. Yeah. Well, I'm very impressed. There is no extra credit on this podcast.
What?
We should have let you know that when you started, actually. Yeah, there's no extra credit.
But yet you still got an F somehow.
So, I guess this is the first time that you're like actively watching. Let's just focus on the first one for the time being. This is the first time you're actively watching The Mummy.
Yep.
How did you enjoy it? I know that you had never seen Honor Among Thieves, the Dungeons and Dragons movie that we covered a couple weeks ago. Did this compare to that in any way? It kind of has a very similar vibe in terms of like the action adventure humor aspect of it, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so let's see. So compared to Honor Among Thieves, it's not. Still, Honor Among Thieves is way better. Like that movie has jumped into like a top, 20, it is. Like if you said to me, and this is crazy for me to say, but if you were like pick, 17 movies or so that's the only ones you could watch, Honor Among Thieves is now in my rotation.
That's amazing.
All right.
Wow.
I cannot say the same about The Mummy, but that's not to take away from it. I'd say if I'm like gonna put like fun franchises, like I love Pirates. Pirates is great, like, and I'm leaving out Star Wars, and I can't even. Star Wars is religion, so I'm not gonna include this in this conversation. But like, I love the Pirates franchise. This I thought was really fun. I mean, at first I was a little concerned with some of the CGI, like in the first.
At the end of the day, you have to realize it's 1999. This is the same year as Phantom Menace. So
yeah, so it was a little. I thought it was a little sketchy. Like it was a little hit or miss at first, but I thought they did a really good job with Imhotep. Like when we got to see his transformation and his CGI, I thought it was really good. I thought the acting was great. Brendan Fraser is a really fun, I love Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, and he's kind of like Nathan Drake brought to life,
That's a really good point, actually. Everyone always compares Nathan Drake to Indiana Jones, which, there's definitely influence there. But he is very much, I think he might actually be closer to Rick O'Connell from The Mummy.
He's literally he's more of a literal kind of Tomb Raider than, Indy was doing it for like to protect these like cultural significantly. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Nathan Drake's kind of just a ne'er-do-well, and I love that and Brendan Fraser is just I think he's just a great comedic actor. He's got the build to be that kind of the action hero type. He's I thought he was job well done here. Some fun cameos. My favorite, I'm just gonna get this out of the way now because I'm super ancient and you guys probably won't get this. But Winston in the movie downright delighted me. Winston was he flew the airplane that got them around, all right? And this man, the actor, all right, I first saw him back when I was a wee lad watching episodes of Bewitched in black and white. And I would see Dr. Bombay, the magical doctor, appear out of nowhere. And it's the same actor. And I sat there and I went, holy shnikes, this movie is older. Like, I realized that The Mummy is so much older than I thought it was because I was like, that guy was on black and white television and he's in this movie. What's going on here?
But to be fair, Bewitched was way before you also.
Yeah. They were, it was like syndication.
Like, you're not
in
that ancient.
Yeah,
but...
no.
You're just more susceptible to reruns.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony, I gotta ask, why do you hate this movie so much?
Man, bro, like the way that Americans are portrayed as like, these caricatures, man. Like we're these gunslinging like cowboys.
Where's Rick O'Connell from? Because he kept saying that he kept calling these people the Americans, but like, is he not also American? I'm a little bit confused there.
I guess he's just like labeling that group as like the Americans, but like, the what was it, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of her actual name, Evelyn. So Evelyn was like saying a bunch of like crap about Americans, and like, like you can tell like, he was kind of agreeing, but like you could tell that like it was like a funny moment because like he's kind of lumped up in with Americans, so he is an American.
Yeah, but I went to Paris once, and we you hear this, Americans, whatever, and we're behaving ourselves, we're being polite. I'm trying to order in French as much as possible and communicate that way. And there was definitely an American couple at the other side of the restaurant being loud, obnoxious, abrasive, and we just put our heads in our hands. And we're like, this is why we get treated poorly when we're just a little lost asking for where the train is. So it was like, yeah, we're both the same, but we're not the same.
No, they look at you and you just hit them with a Spanish, like saying, yeah, I'm not from America.
Yeah, yo no estoy con ellos. ¿De qué hablas? Like just bam, I'm safe. But no, that's that's the American slander is, but there's also I don't know if the Egyptians come off too
no, actually here. They definitely make the Egyptian warden like the butt of many jokes.
Oh yeah. Like that video that I had sent you.
Yes, where he like, what's the term? Ovulate? Yeah, where he like starts
Yes,
ovulating his
yes, like
tongue.
just absolutely like
Just insane.
ridiculous.
It's
But
the
like
most out of pocket scene in the whole movie,
dude,
and there's a lot of them.
but when it happened, I laughed because it came out of nowhere. I
Right
mean,
before,
like,
literally right before he dies.
yeah, right. Like there's scenes from this movie that like I don't remember, so like I didn't remember that one. So like yeah, like when that popped up, like I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, that was absolutely ridiculous.
I don't even think I can make that noise on
I know,
commands.
yeah, I
I'd
can't.
have to like really like practice it, and I'm not going to do it here on the podcast for the sake of your ears. Um, but yeah, that
Screeching in my
was
ears.
that was something. That was a choice. One thing,
Uh,
Rich, you said that looked really good was the actual mummy himself, because it kind of starts with like a practical model in the coffin, and then it's mostly CGI mixed or superimposed onto the actor's body, which is really cutting edge, at the time. This was 1999 again, and CGI was at this point less than a decade old, in actual practice, on screen practice. So yeah, no, I think that they did a really good job for what they had, and I'm sure this, I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure that this movie pioneered certain techniques that carried on into future movies and series, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean came a couple years after this point, and they did something very similar with their skeleton crew, not the Star Wars skeleton crew, the actual like skeleton crew of the Black Pearl. It was very similar ish to like that kind of CGI that they incorporated with Imhotep, which yeah, again, it looked great, and he was actually like pretty scary. Like I know like as an adult, it's not like a very scary movie, but like as a kid, this this shook me.
right. This is like an adventure, like rom-com with like horror elements kind of like sprinkled into it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like I remember seeing this as a kid, and like those scarabs scared me, dude.
Oh my gosh, let's just talk about
The
those
scarabs frightened me.
They had like there was literally no need for them to make the dung beetle as scary as as it is in this movie. For those of you who like have not bothered to look this up, if you go to Egypt, you will not be eaten alive by scarab beetles. They do not care about you. They are not flesh eating. They literally just pick up poop and make balls out of it. That's their life goal.
So if you go into a lost Egyptian city, and you find these jewel scarabs in the wall, you can ululate in peace.
I don't know about that. I think that is still considered like tomb raiding and all that. But
yeah, I guess so. But like you don't have to worry about being eaten by scarabs.
that is correct. Yes, you can ululate in peace next to the scarab jewelry. Yeah. What did you think about the scarab beetles, Rich?
They frightened me. That was definitely for me the worst part of the movie. I feel like
Seeing it under the skin.
I feel
That
like
was
I've-
that was
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't.
That's a crazy effect, though. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
You don't
terrible.
see that too often.
Just absolutely awful. I mean, really well done. Really, that was, and I didn't know that they wouldn't attack me. So maybe now I will go to Egypt. It was off my list before, but maybe it'll be back on. I'm still not going to Australia. You won't. There's nothing you can say to convince me. But I think Egypt is a safe place now.
We're gonna kidnap you and just like drop you via parachute over Australia.
Absolute nightmare scenario.
Right in the
You're gonna
right in
land
the center
in the
of
middle
it.
of the outback.
Yeah, right in the center in the desert. Yeah, you're gonna be fighting for your life. But yeah, no, they there are no flesh eating scarab beetles anywhere in the world actually. But I like the ingenuity of it. Like I guess the movie wasn't scary enough with just a mummy, so they needed someone to say I hate bugs and then like come up with like the worst bug of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the little nod to to Indiana Jones. I mean, I hope, right? It's gotta be.
It could be. Yeah, I don't know. I
I
actually
mean,
don't know. I didn't even think of that. I
I
hate
get right
snakes.
because
Yeah.
I hate snakes. Why is it always snakes? And then
Yeah.
and then even isn't there one where one of the characters dislikes rats? Is
Oh,
that-
it's his father.
yeah, right. So there always seems to be some sort of disliked vermin. I'm not sure if there's well liked vermin, to be honest, except for Home Alone 2, where the pigeon lady liked the pigeons. But other than that, you don't
The
really
sky
see.
vermin.
Yeah, the sky vermin. You don't really. Other than that, you don't really see. You don't really see vermin celebrated. So
There was that one like series of movies where that family adopted a rat or
Oh,
a
yeah,
mouse.
Stuart Little.
Stuart Little, yeah. That was
wait. I thought you were going with Harry Potter. I'm like, he's talking about Scabbers. I'm like, Scabbers is a
that,
killer.
that actually could have.
Gosh.
That actually really could have worked. But yeah, no, I was actually talking about Stuart Little.
It's a fun fact is I was teaching in downtown Brooklyn, and one of my students, because I was wearing a plaid shirt and jeans, and I happened to be of paler complexion than that student, said, "Why are you dressed as Stuart Little today?" And I fell back onto my chair laughing because you can't even get angry. You can't even get. I don't, guys. Just I know you may not be able to see me. I don't actually look like a white mouse. All right, so. But
I wish you guys could see this podcast because my backdrop today is the Great Pyramids of Giza. My head is like right
it's
on
fantastic.
the right on the Great Pyramid
the
itself.
back of a dollar bill.
I does kind of look like that. I'm superimposed on the Pyramid of Khufu right now, guys.
All we have to do is just like get a screenshot and throw some like dollar signs on there, man.
Yeah, we should.
But yeah, it's dude. The biggest thing that I was thinking about this movie, like while watching this movie, is that from time to time we do, but we don't get movies like this ever really anymore.
I know.
The closest that I could say in recent time that I've seen, I don't know if there've been any others, but like Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
Like
why I
that
brought
was
it up.
genuinely
Yeah.
like a fun like movie, and like there was action, there was like comedy, there was like this whole like a magical aspect to it. There was like creepiness to it also, because of the red wizards, but like that's movies like this, like I don't know what it is, like I believe that was it this movie didn't do the best on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like a 60%, but like for me the way that I see it is that like a movie doesn't have to be this crazy certified fresh film for you to actually like it and enjoy it. And it kind of got me back thinking back on like movies like man, like this is like when you think of like a summer like blockbuster or summer like fun film to watch, you might see a movie like this or Jurassic Park or Back to the Future or something that's really like just fun to watch, man. And it doesn't matter if it scores a 15% or 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. You still had a good time, like the story. I guess sometimes you don't always have to have the most compelling story to enjoy yourself at the movies.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And not only is it a fun time, it's well constructed.
Right.
Like almost every shot in this is pleasing to look at. Like there are no stale shots. There's a lot of dynamic camera work in this movie. It was very creative with its use of CGI tracking. Like even I was thinking about like how they needed to prepare for that scene where the guy had the scarab beetle going up his body. Like he needed to know exactly where that bug was going to be, superimposed onto his body or in his body, while he was acting. And the camera followed like all the way up his body into, as soon as like eventually it went into his brain and he like basically crashed out. But it was really like little stuff like that is so well done, and we don't see a lot of that nowadays. We see a lot more still frame stuff, Not a lot of like dynamic angles or anything like that, and I was really impressed. The movie flowed really well. It was edited really nicely, and the music was great. Like this movie specifically has such pleasant music to accompany it that like it brings me back to my childhood. It just transports me, and I think that's the great thing about like good scores. They have the ability to take you back to like that feeling of when you first watched it.
Right, and I feel like it went well with the vibe of the film, and I feel like that's like the kind of score that you would have gotten with like maybe Indiana Jones if it wasn't scored by John Williams.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I like the yes. I like that. Especially it had a very like Hollywood Egyptian vibe. Like we obviously don't know what ancient Egyptian music sounded like, but Hollywood has given it a sound, and this
yeah.
definitely is that sound. It's like that sound to a T.
Right. It's so funny because like if you hear that sound, you know that they're like trying to give you the like an ancient Egyptian vibe, even though like exactly what you said, like we don't know what it is that they used. But
Right.
yeah, like Hollywood has gotten that sound so like ingrained into our brain that
I
like
think
know
it's
what it is. And Western, same thing too. Like
yeah.
there's like a vibe that different eras have gotten, and when you hear it, you're like, okay, this is the vibe that they're going for. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're right.
Certain things like that, like Hollywood has definitely manipulated the public consciousness towards. If you were to read the Frankenstein novel and then look at the original, Universal monster Frankenstein, they look nothing alike. Those two characters are just like that is a completely different look. Even like Vikings, there's no record of them ever having hats with horns on them. But that was a Hollywood thing that everyone now just believes Vikings had horns on their head. And you see that even in like How to Train Your Dragon and stuff. So yeah, and like with the music like this, you hear it all the time in like Egyptian stuff. So but it's pleasant. It's really fun to listen to, and it transports you into this adventure, which I really like. What did you guys think of the backstory of Imhotep and like what his ultimate goal was? Well, I'll throw it over to you, Rich.
So it was just, he was just basically trying to get with, I can't remember her name, but the pharaoh's concubine, if I'm correct, right?
Pharaoh's daughter, I believe.
Was it her daughter?
Was it the daughter or was it the mistress?
Oh, maybe it was the mistress.
I think it was the mistress. And it was like nobody lays a hand on her but me.
That's right. Yeah, that's okay. You're right.
Right. So, I was a little confused about what was going on at the beginning, and I was like, "Oh snap!" Because I was like, "Swerve!" Didn't see that coming. M. Night Shyamalan showing up at the begining. I didn't think that, so I'm saying that, but, kind of tongue in cheek. Part of it's like, obviously I'm not going to see it coming because I don't, there's no motivation to know why she so quickly turns on him. It is a little bit odd, but, what one does for love. I mean, some people push small children out of the windows of a tower while they're sleeping with their sister, and some just plot to kill the pharaoh, but yep. It does establish in some way, if you in a certain retelling, this could be a tale of enduring love. Like this could be Titanic, in some ways. Because Imhotep's
if
love,
it was filmed by James Cameron, sure.
Yeah, because his love for her is,
transcendent.
It really is. He never wants to let go,
Love it. Yeah, what about you, Anthony? Like, what are your thoughts on Imhotep and Anaxanamun?
There is like that whole like love aspect, and I know that he wants to kind of like be with her, but then there's like that whole like aspect of like immortality that he's going for. So like love isn't 100% like the thing. I mean, yeah, sure, he wants to like be with her like forever, but he also wants to like live forever too, and kind of like rule the world. So there's definitely, you know, a little bit going on there. You know, it's yeah, it's like, I feel like it's something that like I've seen before. You know, it's like very similar. Like there's a little bit of like a trope kind of going on there, but I guess it was like fresh enough that like I didn't feel bored with it.
Yeah. What struck me rewatching these as an adult is the three named characters in the ancient Egypt arc: Imhotep, Anaxanamun, and Pharaoh Seti the First, are all actual real life people, or like they were real life people at some point. But none of them ever met each other. Because they all lived at different times, like vastly different times. So I did a little digging, and I was because I was trying to like figure out exactly how much time like apart these individuals were. Egypt spans a long time. Like Egypt was the world power for the longest period on our planet, as far as we know. It was like 2,000 years, or from yeah. So like there's the and they split it up into kingdoms. So it's the Old Kingdom, which is the oldest, most ancient kingdom, which is where the Great Pyramids were created. Then there was the Middle Kingdom, which is not represented in this movie at all. And then there's the New Kingdom, which, you know, ends with the Hellenistic pharaohs, you know, Cleopatra's among them. In the New Kingdom, we have Seti the First, and one of the dates that the film gives us is 1290 BC, which is the start of his reign, the Seti the First reign. So they did look up this character, and then they sent him to, you know, they killed him immediately. So he started his reign in 1290, and I guess in this universe he dies in 1290. But like he lasts in that role for like 20 years. So if they wanted to get their timeline right, they could have had Imhotep kill Seti the First around like 1271 BC. So anyway, and Anaxanamun is from like a century before Seti the First. So she was an actual figure. But Imhotep is one of the earliest known figures in all of like Egyptian history, and it's interesting that they chose to use him because he is credited he's credited as the architect of the very first pyramid. They, at least as far as, you know, like they're able to, you know, date ancient history. You know, they believe that the Pyramid of Djoser is the first pyramid, and it's credited as being created by Imhotep in like 2600 something BC. So this is 1300 plus years prior to the time period of the mummy. So they're a couple millennia off with Imhotep as a character, but I still appreciate that they just like picked in, you know, they like, I want this guy, I want this pharaoh. But it's interesting. They shopped around. Why Seti the First? Like that's an interesting one, because Seti the First is the father of the most popular pharaoh in history, which is Ramesses the Great. It's the pharaoh that's most commonly misconstrued as the pharaoh in the Bible. Like most people believe that Ramesses the Great was the pharaoh in the Bible, but there's no actual proof of that. And according to Bible record, the Exodus happened a couple hundred years before Ramesses was even born. So it doesn't match up. But it is interesting that, you know, Ramesses Ramesses the Great was the like most popular pharaoh, and Seti the First was his father. So I'm guessing they tried to use Ramesses, and they just didn't want any connection to Moses and the Book of Exodus. So they cut that out. But then they added the 10 plagues of Egypt anyway. I was like, this movie just, you know, it had its cake and it ate it too.
Hey, you know, like what's what's some film gluttony every once in a while, you know?
What's a little film gluttony every once in a while? Speaking of the 10 plagues, I really liked Jonathan randomly. Whenever there was a plague, he'd be like, and the water turned to blood. Like he would just quote,
Yeah.
he would just quote
So
the
weird.
scripture, and darkness fell upon the land of Egypt. And it's just like, it's if it's not blatant enough, here's like a quote that you might have heard from church.
Also, I thought it was weird where how is it that like how many of them were there? Like nobody noticed that they had cups of blood like until they drank it.
I mean, you're in a bar, right? So you're probably not. You probably already assume, what's in your drink is, your drink.
Okay, so something different. Okay, all right, okay. Because they all had it, like right, like didn't they all take it from the fountain? Am I misremembering? It's like they all put their cups to the fountain and they had.
No, I think they just showed the fountain turn from water to blood.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, I had this thing
they
where
were actually served.
Okay.
They were served those drinks. It was just like they wanted to give like the image of the water like turning into blood, but like like it was happening in their cup like as they were drinking.
So it was like it's like like church for me and the Catholics on Sundays. Transubstantiation. It was actually changing.
The transfiguration. Yeah, basically. But it was literal blood for these individuals. Actually, though, like in the scriptures, I don't think it said every liquid turned to blood, just water. What you need. You need water. So I don't know if the drinks like the whiskey would have turned, but it is.
I mean, listen, I argue when my wife says I'm not hydrating enough, I argue that beer and coffee are made from water. So
I like that. Actually, I like that a lot. Yeah, Anthony, do you like that? Do you like that logic?
I guess it's I.
I did want to say because before I forget it, you guys were commenting earlier about how we don't see a lot of these movies. And I think part of it's, I mean, I don't think stuff like Rotten Tomatoes necessarily helps. I remember when I was like younger, I saw a trailer, and if I was slightly, like, hey, that kind of, maybe, right? And I also was just, it was like, maybe it's also because the tickets are more expensive. So it's double, it's knowing the reviews and knowing how much you're going to spend. But it's just, I was okay with going to see a movie that was not amazing. I didn't walk out and be like, I want my money back or my time was wasted. It was like, okay, cool. Like I passed the time and that was pretty, that was mildly. I saw the Spawn movie twice in theaters. Like that, that was not a great movie by any stretch. And I remember going like willfully back the second time. I was like, why not? Hey, what else do I got to do? And part of it was that you didn't have everything at your disposal, right? Like I'm not going to go see a movie now that I'm not sure about because I could just rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy and then probably stream that movie that I didn't go see in 7 days. Like it's gonna be, and I'm not talking illegally. I'm talking completely legally. So I think that companies are taking fewer chances on making these like these rom-com action movies. I mean, I remember like Big Trouble in Little China when I was a little kid. I loved these.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I'd seen that movie.
They were bad. You knew they were kind of gonna be bad. And you were like, all right, cool. Like it was all right. It didn't have to be the best thing ever. I mean, like nobody goes to a Sly Stallone movie and goes like, hey, I'm looking for good cinema. Like.
I mean, if it's a Rocky movie, then yeah, I'm looking for good cinema.
Or are you talking about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot with Estelle Getty? All right.
A perfect example of a movie that like is not out. It's not great. But it's still like so fun that you can't help but watch it is the first Mortal Kombat movie.
So
I don't know if you've ever seen it, Dakota.
I have
but
not.
Like
it's so good.
It's like so like the movie, it's not a great movie, like
you're not talking about the Mortal Kombat recently.
No,
like
no.
you're talking about the original.
I'm talking about like 90s Mortal Kombat.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So, but the thing is that it pretty much follows the story of Mortal Kombat. Like, it's like, humans defending Earth realm from being taken over. And so like it gets that right, at least. It does respect the source material. But like when you watch it, you're like, like this movie isn't great. But like, dude, it's just, you can't help but like it because it's so zany, and like there's just so much kind of going on. It's like, dude, are you like for real? And then you have kind of like this a little bit of like crappy CGI on it, but like you still, you forgive it because you're having a good time watching it.
Yeah.
Listen,
100%.
somebody cast Jean-Claude Van Damme as an American military man, Guile, for the Street Fighter movie. All right, that was one of the most ridiculous casting choices ever. All right, I mean, Raul Julia basically died so we could have Street Fighter. All right, that movie is equal, but we're just not taking these chances anymore. Everyone takes themselves. Everyone's playing it safe, and I this movie, the whole franchise, honestly, like I was happy that I ended up watching the other ones. It's really fun. I mean, the third one is kind of ridiculous. They do decide like, hey, you know what? Maybe we're overdoing the Egypt thing. Do you think that there's mummies in China? And then that's kind of the third one. And there's like the
give me your ranking of the three movies, if you can.
Oh shoot! So this is
1, 2, 3. Like, I mean, really,
It's got to be 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
I mean, but The Rock,
for me, it is.
I'm sure The Rock kind of like raises that bar a little bit, even with like the worst CGI you've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. The Rock CGI in the second one, the Scorpion King. And that is
It's legendarily bad. Like
Oof.
it's people talk about that scene as like, remember that?
Yeah, it was.
I don't even think video game like graphics were that bad.
No.
Like you maybe had a couple that looked that bad, but like if you're being like serious, I mean, when did that come out? Was it 2002, 2000?
Yeah, no.
Like around that time, and we had Final Fantasy X that came out in 01, and that looked way better than that Scorpion King did.
It was. It's so bad that actually I okay. I have a weird affinity when the third movie in a franchise is kind of awful and completely not with the rest of it, right? Like, there's a charm to those movies that I kind of enjoy. Like, we're hanging on to the last vestiges of this franchise and trying to squeeze it dry.
We got to see this through to the bitter end.
Like the Turtles movies, right? Like suddenly it's like 1, 2, and then we're gonna go back to ancient Japan, right? Like, what are you talking about, guys? The Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, great. Home Alone 3 with that weird new kid, no, not having it, but kind of loved it. All right, this kind of was the same. You have the son, there's a son grown up. They replace Evelyn. I don't know why.
See, like that put me out like automatically. Like they had this recasting, it didn't work. Like to me, that like I mean like the charm like went out the window.
She was
like, dude,
she's not a librarian. They put glasses on her and they're like, she's a librarian. And I'm like, Evelyn's a librarian from the first 2 movies. All right, I can believe because she put glasses on and her hair was up. That she's kind of nerdy. Like I've seen those teen movies. I know what it's like. So I bought her. I didn't like the new actress as Evelyn. I did not buy that she was working in a library. I don't.
Well, the OG like, she sold it. Like,
yeah.
Like they did like kind of give her the look, but she also had like, kind of like that knowledge, and she very much so seemed to be like a nerd in Egyptology. So, but she sold it. Like, yeah, that third one, bro. That one just doesn't exist. That one doesn't exist.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember the third one. The only thing I remember is that there's a scene where like abominable snowmen are playing football.
Let's see. I'm gonna tell you that's way better. That's way better than when they're like, the beginning is essentially we're retired. Wow, our son is gone. We don't talk to him anymore. And we don't really like being around each other anymore. All right. And and then they're like, wait, adventure? where we can risk our lives again. And then like it suddenly like literally gets their like their mojo flowing, and I think they even get like ooh like kind of sexy timey because they're excited. It is so bad. I actually implore all of you out there, all right, despite what you're hearing, you need to see it for yourself, all right? Jet Li's in the movie. Jet Li. That's all you gotta know.
Isn't he he's like the mummy emperor or
buddy.
something?
Yeah, but Jet Li being in the movie can't save it a lot.
Dude, he turns into lava. Like, just... He turns into lava. He turns into water. Okay.
That movie doesn't exist. That movie just, man, like if
Anthony's very adamant about this.
If I had a choice between that movie and Baby Shark, just throw in Baby Shark. Like I'm just
dude, I always wondered what did the Terracotta Army do, right, to get stuck down there? And then we get to find out in this movie, all right? Oh, like I learned.
Well, I mean, like we knew that they're supposed to like protect the Emperor's tomb. I knew that, but like I didn't need like a crappy mummy movie to like see it played out. But I mean, other than that, like we're kind of getting like sidetracked. We're over an hour. Let's reel it back in to this first mummy movie. What do we? There is like a love story kind of like put into this movie. We've kind of skirted along it a little bit. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that, like kind of that romance between Rick and Evelyn?
I personally really find the two actors to have a lot of chemistry. Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser. So every scene that they're in on screen just works. I don't know what it is, but it just works. Like from the moment they meet and he is about to be killed, so he's like wild and crazy and like he kisses her like randomly. That interaction between the two characters is magnetic. Just like the look that each other gives each other, it's fantastic. And it continues throughout the movie in just really fun and unique ways as they pit more and more stuff against them. And I really like their brother Jonathan. Not Jonathan.
Yeah. No, I like his character too. No, I agree. I agree with you. There is like some really good like chemistry on screen. You can see it. Like it doesn't feel forced. It feels very organic. You can tell that like even like the casting like as a whole like worked very well. They kind of like played off of each other. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It was like it never was like a moment when you saw those two on the screen.
Yeah. What do you think, Rich?
I thought they were great together. I mean, honestly, it's their relationship, the believability of their chemistry is actually ultimately what makes me dislike the third one so much, because the actress changes, and then I mean almost appropriately their marriage is kind of loveless and there's no spark, and it's like, yeah, because it's not the same woman. Come on, Brandon, you can't. Come on, Rick. Like, that's a great name, Richard O'Connell. Richard's a great name, and
Richard is a great name.
He couldn't even see it. I don't understand. But honestly, I really did. I love them together. I think they play off really well. Just their dialogue doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel stilted. It doesn't feel. It all feels very natural.
There's a scene where they head back. I think it's to Cairo after they awaken the mummy. And Rick is adamant about, we got to get out of here. We're getting on the next plane. And he's shoving random things into her suitcase. Mm-hmm. And she's very adamant. No, we have to stay. We open this can of worms. We have to close it. And she's taking stuff out of the suitcase. And it's a whole like minute and a half scene of them like, he's putting stuff in and she's going around and replacing it in other spots, and it's so well done. The acting is so fantastic, and neither of the characters even look at each other in that scene until the very end, because they're so busy with what they're doing. And it's almost like Abbott and Costello type of humor where like
you
know what I'm saying? Like
Goldie,
it's just,
you see like Goldie Hawn do this with Kurt Russell and like Bird on a Wire and stuff like that. Like this is the type
Okay, yeah.
you would see these in like the late 90s, late 80s, excuse me, early 90s. They just had kind of an attractive guy and a quick-witted lady who had good chemistry, and they were just fun on screen together, and that's you
Yeah.
kind of get that here. It's just it's a little zany. It's not the real world, and I think that I really kind of, this is sacrilegious, right? But I love superhero movies, but I also liked when you just watched a movie that was in the real world, but it really wasn't. Like
Yeah.
the police academies and the all these rom-com adventures that we're missing out on.
Speaking about the real world, but really isn't. So often in this movie, they show the Great Pyramids like right next to a big city, or right next to this city. They show it like next to Thebes. Thebes is like 500 miles away from the Great Pyramids. Like there's in the beginning, like I think the first like shot right after the big universal globe goes around is like ancient Egypt, city of Thebes, and the Great Pyramids are like literally right behind it. Nowhere near that. Like it's nowhere near that.
No, I find that funny that you say that, because it's literally like a stone's throw away from like major cities. I'm pretty sure that they're like,
and
not
they did that
towering
a lot.
right next.
They did that a lot throughout the movie. Like whenever there was like an establishing shot of like, we have to make sure that this looks like Egypt, pyramids. Pyramids.
Like,
just
how
drop
they,
them in the
how are
background.
they gonna know that they're in Egypt? Pyramids.
Funny enough, they filmed in Morocco, so maybe they did need to. They did need those pyramids for establishing.
We're in
shots.
Morocco, but we really need to be in Egypt. Pyramids.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also with Jonathan. Jonathan is very much so like the comic relief, but he's not the only one. Like everybody has like their moments. Rick, Evelyn, they all have but they're funny in their own way. They're, it's like not out of character for them when they have their funny moments. And also the thing between Rick and Benny, bye Benny.
Oh, we haven't even brought up Benny.
Yeah, Benny, man.
Probably the best character. Just maybe not the best character, but such a fun character, especially on rewatch. I quote Benny and Rick all the time in my day-to-day life. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes my brother will be like, looks like I've got all the horses. and Benny goes, and Rick goes, hey Benny, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Dude, yeah, that part was so funny. It was so childlike, but it was hilarious. It worked so well in that moment, and
it definitely gives them the edge.
Their relationship, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I even just the first time we meet Benny, and he's on Rick O'Connell's side in whatever battle they're facing at Hamunaptra, which is a fictional Egyptian place, doesn't exist. He's totally on board. He's just I forget what he says, but it's something like, I'll be with you till the end, or something like that. And then you just see him running off. And that's every scene with him.
That was so funny. Yeah. After the officer kind of runs off.
Oh, let's talk about language a little bit. I thought that was an interesting thing that they had Benny incorporate into his character. He carries a bunch of necklaces with different religious symbols. He's got a cross, he's got the Star of David, he's got Buddha, he's got Hindu symbols. He's got a whole bunch of symbols that he has attached to his neck, almost as if these things are going to protect him. And he tries, as soon as he sees Imhotep wake up, he starts going through different religions, and it's not until he brings up the Star of David and he starts speaking in Hebrew that Imhotep recognizes, oh, it's the language of the slaves. I really like that scene because I feel like the actor did a really good job of mimicking the intonations of each like spoken word in that, like, I'm afraid, I'm praying speech. I don't know all of those languages, obviously, but
Right,
like
right.
it didn't sound anglicized. It didn't sound like something you'd see on the CW or whatever. Like
Right, right. Like
I
no,
always
yeah, I agree.
I always hated in like in Smallville. There's an episode where Lana is like possessed by the spirit of like some witch or something that speaks Latin, and it's like the most English sounding Latin
Yep.
ever. It's the worst. I hate that when
episode. Yes.
it's crazy. It's anyway. I hate that kind of stuff. But when I see stuff like this, where like they clearly gave this guy an acting coach, or he just knows these languages and is like an actual like polyglot or whatever.
Which is actually like pretty impressive on like that character's part. Like this man knows a lot of languages, like
Yeah.
Chinese, Hebrew.
I forget the other
I think it was,
languages.
I know he was like I think he had pulled up the like Islamic symbol too.
I think he did, yes. Yeah, no, it was really impressive on the actor's part and the character's part, and like, it adds a lot of depth to his character, because that kind of shows that like this is a guy who will do anything to get by, including learning other languages and praying to other gods, or other versions of a god. So yeah, I thought that was really, really well done. And the ancient Egypt that they had Imhotep and Anaxanamun speak. Obviously, I don't know ancient Egypt. I don't read hieroglyphs or anything like that. But I did look it up. They did a really good job of using real hieroglyphs and enunciations of hieroglyphs, and they tried their best to incorporate ancient Egypt like speech into the movie. So when they're speaking, it's not modern day English, or it's not modern day Egyptian. It's actually ancient Egyptian that they kind of modeled after Coptic, which is a newer form of ancient Egyptian, like closer to like Jesus time. They used the Coptic language, so that it has, because we don't know what ancient Egypt sounded like. We barely know what ancient English sounded like, but by using a more modern version of that and incorporating that into how you would read those words, that's how they came up with their ancient Egypt. And I think they did a really good job. I think the actors like killed it.
Actually, I thought even just when they were, I think they were, it was actually, I thought it was Arabic. I mean, I don't know. I used to teach at a school where kids spoke Arabic, and they kept yelling yallah, which was kind of hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So that actually kind of pulled me into it right away. I was like, oh, yeah, yalla. I was like, I remember that one. Because that was one of the few words I would learn with the kids. It was like, yalla, yalla, like hurry up, get to class, So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
I actually, as much as I love all the acting, what kind of astounded me was my wife randomly was like, I just could never get behind Brendan Fraser. He just looks like kind of dumb. And this is somebody who she loves the National Treasure movies, right? Just loves them, right? Just
okay.
And then also loves like all of the Fast and Furious, like loves Vin Diesel. And I'm like, you love Vin Diesel and Nick Cage, but you're like Brendan Fraser. That guy looks dumb. Like
that's a step too far even for me.
I'm just. But I thought Fraser's great. I thought the casting was really good. They just top to bottom, that it was really well executed, and it's sad that there was drop off, especially by the end, because it just had so much promise to be. You could have had I think you could have had a couple more. I wouldn't mind to see a return to Egypt.
I would not mind that either. I think now they'd probably be in like the 1950s or 60s, just because of the age of the actors involved. But yeah, I would like to see that for sure. Guys, what are we doing next week? Are you guys interested in continuing, not necessarily the Mummy, but continuing in ancient Egypt?
Sure. Are we going to Agrabah? Where are we? Whereabouts?
No. So, sad note, the actor Val Kilmer passed within the past 24 hours. So, one of my first movies where I experienced him as an actor was The Prince of Egypt, where he actually plays the voice of God when speaking to Moses. Would you guys be interested in doing Prince of Egypt?
Let's get her done.
Yeah, we can. I think my first experience with him was Batman.
It might have been Batman or Prince of Egypt. I don't remember what I saw first as a kid, but yeah.
I think mine was probably Willow.
That might, yeah, okay.
Because
yeah, that would be before that.
Very old.
Oh, you put yourself down too often on this podcast.
We're just
you make yourself like a lot more like aged out than we are, dude. You are still technically a millennial, so
I feel like I'm like a mummy under wraps in a sarcophagus.
Well,
but
hopefully someone resurrects you soon.
I think that Pete
back.
Alonso is going to be doing that on Friday afternoon.
Nice.
But yes, let's wind this thing down.
We'll wrap it up.
We are running like wild hyenas right now, even though that's Africa.
Egypt is in Africa.
Well, yeah.
Hey.
Well, yeah, you're right. Well, I guess I'm thinking like more of like the
Sahara, yeah.
Yeah, the Sahara, yeah. Not so much of them running around in Egypt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last minute thoughts.
Good movie. I'm biased towards it because I grew up with it, but yeah, I love everything about this. Even the anachronisms that I brought up before, where I was kind of complaining, it's still fun. It's still a good movie. I still love it, even despite all that. So, yeah.
I thought it was a really good time. It's not going to be my top tier like Honor Among Thieves. I'm not sure if I don't know if we can watch a movie that's going to be better than Honor Among Thieves. In terms
Anthony, we got to find a movie that's better than Honor Among Thieves that he has not seen.
Just thrown down the gauntlet.
I mean, like, you're saying that, but then like you have the existence of the Lord of the Rings.
Well, no, that's
yeah, but like it's a movie that hasn't
dude,
seen.
That's
yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Let's be clear. Whenever you guys want, sir. I rewatched that franchise just for S's and G's, on a Sunday. All right. So no, but
so we already did those. The next one, I mean, for us, like we'd have to cover is like the Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
For the Lord of the Rings, we already did like that extensively.
The Hobbit's the best one. The best trilogy that was made.
Yeah, sure. Sure. You know, I'm gonna watch that. As I watch Mummy 3.
Oh man, when poor Keely and his very real Tolkien love interest, the elf.
Yeah. All right, we're like going off the rails, guys. Next week for episode 116, it has been decided that we're covering The Prince of Egypt. It's an animated movie by DreamWorks. Val Kilmer plays a pretty significant role. So yeah, it'll be a little Val Kilmer send off next week, guys. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to us here for our episode 115. And if you haven't already, be sure to give us a 5-star juicy review. If you want to check out any of our socials, be sure to click into the show notes down below. And we'll see you later, guys.
Make sure it's juicier than Imhotep. Bye, y'all.
Death is only the beginning.